Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something pretty unique. It's a training guide for an indoor cycling session, but it's framed as a classic rock cycle festival.
Yeah, it's called Backstage Pass II. Really interesting source material.
It's not just about, spinning to music. It's structured training presented like a huge concert experience. We've got headliners like the Eagles, Springsteen.
And Queen. Their Live Aid set, specifically. Plus special guests like Sheryl Crow, Stevie Nicks. Peacock even makes an appearance.
Right. So the whole idea is mixing that high emotional energy of rock music with, well, pretty demanding physical effort.
Exactly. And our mission today for this deep dive is really to unpack the architecture of this ride.
Yeah.
We want to figure out why they've paired certain training zones, like Zone 4, or those intense Zone 5 bursts, with these specific artists.
It feels like there's a real design philosophy behind it.
There absolutely is. It's engineered not just for physiological gains like getting stronger or faster, but also for building mental toughness. That's a huge part of it.
Okay, let's get into it then. The ride guide mentions it starts immediately. No gentle warm-up lap here.
Nope. The Eagles kick it off right away. That dark desert highway line is basically the cue to start establishing your rhythm, your breathing. It's the warm-up, but it's integrated right into the first set.
But that warm-up phase is short, isn't it?
Very short. You settle in, find your pace, and then boom, you transition straight into the first major block of work.
And that's where things get serious, fast.
We're talking a sustained Zone 4 effort. The guide calls for at least 8 minutes here, timed with tracks like Life in the Fast Lane.
Wow, 8 minutes in Zone 4 right near the start. That's quite an ask. For listeners maybe not familiar, what exactly is Zone 4? Why that duration?
So Zone 4 is your threshold zone. Think of it as riding just below your maximum sustainable effort. You're breathing hard, definitely feeling it in the legs, but you should still be, technically in control.
The guide calls it the tipping point.
That's a perfect description. Physiologically, it's where lactate starts accumulating in your muscles faster than your body can clear it. You're right on that edge, pushing that limit but holding it.
Okay, so that's the physical side. What about the mental aspect of holding that for 8 minutes?
Well, that's really the key training benefit, isn't it? You're training your body, yes, to become more efficient, to delay that tipping point, but mentally, you're learning to manage that discomfort.
Pushing past that voice saying, ease up.
Exactly. It builds sustainable power, boosts your cardio efficiency, absolutely. But it fundamentally trains mental toughness. And the music choice here, Life in the Fast Lane, it's got that 128 beats per minute pulse.
Which helps drive the cadence.
Precisely. It encourages that 85 RPM cadence the guide suggests for this effort. Makes the whole thing feel more rhythmic, maybe a bit less like pure suffering. If you can handle 8 minutes there, you've built a solid foundation.
Okay, so you survived that Zone 4 fire. That sounds intense. What happens next? The guide seems very deliberate about recovery.
It really is.
Yeah.
After that sustained effort, there's a mandatory recovery period featuring Sheryl Crow. The intensity drops right down to Zone 2.
Zone 2 being?
Light resistance, comfortable cadence, easy breathing. It's active recovery. The guide actually calls it the quiet zone.
Yeah, I saw that. It even suggests things like, reflecting, meditating, or just focusing on your breathing. It treats recovery seriously.
As it should. It's not wasted time. It's crucial. Physical recovery is one thing, but allowing your mind to sort of absorb the effort, that's where the adaptation really sticks.
Makes sense. But then during this recovery phase, the guide throws in something unexpected. This 10-minute distance challenge.
Ah, yes. This is a clever bit of psychological layering, I think.
It felt a bit counterintuitive to me.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be recovering, but now there's a competition.
Well, it's a competition with yourself. The idea is, for the last 10 minutes of each of the 3 main headliner sets, Eagles, Springsteen, and Queen, you track your distance.
Using a lap button or a target feature on the bike computer, if you have one.
Right, like on a Matrix ICG Stages bike or similar. But even if you don't have that tech.
You can still do it based on perceived effort.
Exactly. The core idea is mental commitment. You set a benchmark in that first 10-minute block with the Eagles. Maybe it's distance, maybe it's just how hard you felt you pushed consistently.
And then you try to beat it with Springsteen and beat that with Queen.
Precisely. It forces you to maintain focus and consistency, especially as fatigue starts to creep in later in the ride. It stops you from just, mentally checking out during those sustained efforts.
That's actually quite smart. It weaponizes your own consistency. Okay, so Sheryl Crow ends, recovery's done. Then what?
And the bond steps up. Bruce Springsteen. And the intensity just explodes. We're moving into high-intensity intervals, zone 5 and zone 6.
Right, the really sharp end. Describe those zones.
These are short, very powerful bursts. Think breathless effort, legs burning almost immediately. This is anaerobic work, working without sufficient oxygen for the effort level.
This is where the guide says progress happens.
Absolutely. Training in zone 5 and 6 does a few key things. It boosts your VO Euromax, your maximum oxygen uptake. It builds serious anaerobic power for sprinting or attacking hills. And crucially, it trains your body to recover quickly between these hard pushes.
The guide also mentions confidence and grit, saying something like, you don't have to be perfect, just be present.
I love that line. It captures the mental side perfectly. When you hit your absolute limit, survive it and recover. You build this incredible confidence in your own resilience.
And that translates off the bike, too.
I firmly believe so. Being able to recover quickly from intense physical stress, that's a skill you can use mentally when facing pressure at work or, in difficult conversations. Knowing you can reset after a tough moment.
So after that Springsteen onslaught, another break is needed.
Definitely. The structure calls for another Zone 2 recovery segment, this time with Stevie Nicks and Landslide. A very different vibe.
Calming things down before the big finish, it emphasizes needing both physical and mental recovery here.
You got to reset the system. Replenish what you can, because the grand finale is Queen at Live Aid, and that demands everything you have left.
Matching the energy of maybe the most famous live performance ever?
Yeah.
How does the ride structure that?
It mirrors the Springsteen set, essentially. More hard-hitting intervals, zone 5 and 6 surges, but maybe with even shorter recovery windows between them.
So full throttle.
Absolutely full throttle. The instructions clear. This is intense. It's not meant to be comfortable. You're emptying the tank, trying to match that incredible energy Queen brought to that stage. You're training your ability to perform when you're already deep into fatigue.
Okay, Queen finishes, the crowd goes wild, you're collapsing over the handlebars. Surely now it's cool down time.
You'd think so. But the coach, the architect of this ride, has one last trick up their sleeve.
The pink encore.
The surprise Tabata set. Just when you think you're done, pink comes on, and you're hit with this.
Explain Tabata for anyone who hasn't had the pleasure.
It's a specific interval protocol. 20 seconds of absolutely maximal, all-out effort. Like zone 7 if you have it, then just 10 seconds of complete rest.
And you repeat that how many times?
8 times. So it totals just 4 minutes, but it's arguably the hardest 4 minutes of the entire ride.
Why put the most intense protocol right at the very end? After Queen, when you're already exhausted.
That placement is pure genius, physiologically and psychologically. Hitting that peak intensity when you're already fatigued forces your body to squeeze out every last drop of aerobic and anaerobic capacity.
Okay, so massive calorie burn, pushing limits.
Yes, but the biggest gain, I think, is mental toughness. You're training yourself, forcing yourself to maintain commitment and deliver high output when every single fiber is telling you to stop.
It builds that fast recovery under extreme stress, too.
Exactly. It ensures you've given absolutely everything, no regrets left on the bike.
Okay, now we must be done. Threshold, high intensity, self-competition, a brutal Tabata encore.
Now you get the cool down. The road back home, as the guide calls it, with James Taylor.
And this part is non-negotiable, too, right?
Absolutely essential. The source is really clear. You need this time. Let the heart rate come down gradually. Let the muscles flush out waste products. Focus on controlled breathing. Bring the system back to baseline.
It's the consolidation period?
Physically, yes, but mentally, too. The guide has a line like, let your mind absorb the effort and the progress.
That feels important, acknowledging what you just did.
It really is. That acknowledgement is what helps turn a tough workout into lasting resilience. You consciously register the accomplishment.
So let's wrap this up. Looking back at the whole structure, we've seen how this guide brilliantly weaves together serious physiological training, that Zone 4 burn, the Zone 56 power surges, the Tabata finish with the emotional pull of a classic rock concert.
Yeah, it really demonstrates that intentional training doesn't have to be boring. When you structure it purposefully and pair it with something that genuinely engages you emotionally, like this music does for many, you can achieve incredible results, physically and mentally.
It's about pushing boundaries.
Finding them, testing them, and ultimately expanding them. That's the core of this structured experience.
And that expansion, that's the real takeaway for you listening, isn't it? The guide implies the strength found here doesn't just stay in the cycling studio.
Exactly.
So here's something to think about. Consider those specific challenges within the ride. That pressure of the 10-minute self-competition, forcing yourself to stay consistent under fatigue, or that sheer mental grit needed for the Tabata set when you thought you had nothing left.
Hmm.
How could you apply that specific mental training, that learned focus, that resilience under pressure to challenges in your daily life, that stamina you found for the Queen finale, that commitment during the 10-minute challenge? Maybe those are the very tools you need for that tough project deadline or that difficult negotiation next week.
It's about transferring that learned strength, using the bike as a tool to forge resilience you can take anywhere.
Something to definitely mull over. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.